Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What is happening? What's shaking here on a Tuesday night? Hope you're having a good one. Big show tonight. Big one. Big giant one. And the reason for that is we have Hoosiers, the movie for you. I'm going to tell you all about. I'm going to try something here tonight. See if that does me any good. Anyway, I am going to tell you all about it. It is spectacular. It is a celebration of all things Indiana, the most important thing Indiana, which is going on right now. It's called Hoosier Hysteria, and it is the high school basketball tournament. Now, we'll talk about that tournament, why it used to be such a big deal. It's still a big deal. It's just maybe not quite as much as before. And we'll tell you all about it. Hey, while you're here, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Doesn't take long. It's easy to do. It's free. Don't smash the like button. Then it won't work the next time you want to use it. You'll have to go to the like button repair store. Nobody wants that. Okay? Gently depress the like button, please. All right? Don't cost nothing. And it helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus the fact we do have super chats. We do have memberships. And we love it when you take advantage of those because, of course, it helps us pay the bills around here. And Daddy needs a new pair of shoes and all that stuff. And please turn on your gifted memberships. It tells how right down there in the crawl at the bottom of the screen. Oh, look out. We have a brand new member. And of course, that means our good friend Bout will be getting the point. Why? Stanley Cross is in the house here, and the new updates they've made to StreamYard. Okay, so at the bottom under the screen that I do all my stuff with, there are all these preset layouts, like this layout, which isn't really a layout because I need another person in here. And this one also isn't because I need another person. And this one also kind of is. And then this is the one that I traditionally use. All right? This is the one. It's the one. But if I say I take this off of here, it puts me here. If I put something else up here, it reverts me to this one. What are you doing, StreamYard? Do you guys just sit around and go, how can we make this suck? Because if you are, you're doing a great job. It was working fine. There was nothing wrong with it. No one was complaining about that. It was all the other stuff that you do that people were complaining about. So you took the one thing that actually works and screwed the pooch with it. I said it. I hate to use language like that, but that's what you did. Thanks for becoming a new member, Bout, and I hope you enjoyed the point, and I hope you appreciate the fact that it made me very mad when I had to do the point. We got spirit. Yes, we do. We got spirit. How about you? Which is, I think, in every cheerleader's main book. I mean, I think it's a cheerleading 101. Dupa earlier, when some of you may not have seen it at the beginning of the show, she said Elvis Costello and the Brodsky Quartet, God only knows. His voice is so beautiful. Thank you for turning me on to this. I have to hear the rest of the concert. Heading home to catch the Hoosiers episode. Well, Dupa, you'll be, that is actually from, I think I had it on videotape originally. I might have it now on CD. It's called Elvis Costello, A Case for Song. And there's various performers and lineups and things during that show. It's one concert, but, you know, Dupa said, although we were on the same side of the field. Well, not in Hoosiers. In Hoosiers, the one side did it and the other side did it. That's what he's referring to. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Boat is here. Says H2BH, love you, love the show. H2BH, Boat. H2BH, Daddy-O. And see, that made me have to show one of my pictures earlier than I wanted. Although this is kind of interesting. I think I like that. And by the way, this is not a full frame thing. See, look at that. When I try to do a full frame thing, it shows nothing. Nothing. If I go to this other preset that shows two people talking on screen at the same time, then it makes me totally full screen. One of these days, somebody's going to come up with something that's 9,000 times better than StreamYard. One of these days. I could go back to using OBS, but there's a few things that OBS is cumbersome at. Getting real close to using Streamlabs. I'd have to take a weekend or two and test it out, but getting real close. Of course, Bout is a new member here, and we appreciate that. People saying hi. People saying hi. Dupa says, so many podcasters hate StreamYard. Well, the only real advantage of StreamYard is what you see before you now, is putting the comments one at a time up on screen. That part is easy. There's a few things that it does that you can actually do with other platforms, but it's not as easy. It's not as easy. But once you start screwing things up so bad, suddenly not as easy doesn't mean anything. And by the way, when you use StreamYard, YouTube takes like 30% of your revenue. When you use Streamlab, I think it takes like 3% or something. So maybe I'll check into that this weekend. Let's see. Boat says, don't be mad, get glad. Thanks. I'm glad now. Metal Maiden Vicky is here from Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not there, then you're a square. Sorry, I was eating snacks at an unheard of rate. I had a bunch of meetings in the morning, and to prepare for those meetings, I had to get up early in the morning, and I stayed up real late, so I was super tired after those meetings. So I started to take a nap, and I didn't wake up until kind of right before the show. And because I had been doing all that stuff, I hadn't eaten, and I was ravenous. So I have peanuts. Peanuts. Hard Archivist is here, who archived my battle with the comedy shaman so many months ago. Says, how you doing, Vicky? That's people saying hi. 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 All right, let's get into this. Let me tell you about the movie Hoosiers. First thing I should tell you, Terry Nee says, I'm in the movie Geysers. Is that a real movie? Is that a movie? It's like Tremors, only backwards. Let me tell you something about the movie Hoosiers, 1986. I've never been able to find myself in it. But I'm in the crowd in the movie Hoosiers. And you'll hear about that part of when they shot the movie later on in our diatribe. But 4 people from Indiana, and people that like basketball, and people that like a sports movie, and people that like a story of redemption, not just on the part of the lead character played by Gene Hackman, but by the character played by Dennis Hopper, on down the line. Incidentally, if you're a Dennis Hopper fan, I believe this is the only film that he was ever nominated for Academy Award for. And he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. So, how about that? I think we got more. The Hackman. People saying hi. People saying hi. People saying. A lot of people saying hi. Hoosiers is an incredible movie on all those counts. And it's magic. It's just magic. Let's get into it because there's a lot to cover here. Okay, I don't know how many of you seen the film. I know Gilman has because he can do all the lines, and most people from Indiana can do the lines. I already told you what me and my friends do when the bill comes. You know how they'll bring out, when you go to a restaurant, they bring out the little leather, whatever it is, and it's got the two bills in it. One is yours, one customer copy, and the other one is merchant copy. You know that, when they do that? So everybody kicks in usually. Sometimes they ask to divide everything up. But if it's guys, here, let me just tell you how this works. If it's guys, everybody just takes a few bucks out and gets close to what it is. Or sometimes the guys will pay the tip, or whatever. But if it's women,
you had the watercress salad, which is $1.86, and you had the
and they get out an abacus and figure out exactly how much everybody is. Or they'll ask them to split the bill. I guess splitting the bill is okay. But when it's guys, one guy, a lot of times, will pay the main bill, and everybody will pay him back, or it'll be on a rotating basis. But amongst me and my friends, and this is from the movie, so if you hadn't seen the movie, this might not make sense. If you have seen the movie, you're gonna love this. The bill comes, whoever gets it looks around the table and goes, Coach stays. There's a point in the movie where they take a vote to see if Coach is going to continue as basketball coach, and they tear up the thing. Coach. All right, let's get into this. Metal Main Mickey says, I have not seen the movie yet. How dare you? You're missing out. You are missing out. And you'll find out why a little later. This isn't just my opinion. No. The movie and general public have weighed in on this. Anyway, 1986 movie, written by a gentleman by the name of Angelo Pizzo and directed by David Onspa. And it was his very first movie he ever directed. If you've heard those names before, it's because a few years later they would direct another movie that was about sports, but not really about sports, that was also set predominantly in Indiana. Little film called Rudy. Rudy, in case you've seen that one. Anyway, this is actually based on a true story. I'll just go ahead and get into this right now. When I was growing up, most states have classifications for high school sports. We're Class A, Class AA, Class AAA, Class whatever. And Indiana actually had that in a lot of sports, like football and a lot of other things. But basketball, remember, Indiana is the basketball capital of the universe. Basketball, the thing that people from Indiana, known as Hoosiers, hold most dear, was only one class. It was everyone playing for one state championship. And you might say, well, gosh, the little schools couldn't have done. Yes, a lot of times the big schools would win. That's what made the little schools winning such a big deal. Now, they didn't always win the state championship. But people in Indiana would love it when a tiny school would go on a run and get to the Final Four or get wherever they got. This is actually based on the true story of the 1954 Milan High School team with I think, kindergarten to 12th grade enrollment of like 160 kids that ended up dethroning the school that had won the state championship most times, Muncie Central. So it's based on that story. There's a little difference here and there, but Gene Hackman is the star of the film, and he is Norman Dale, and he's a coach that's been hired by an old Navy buddy to come to the hinterlands, to tiny tiny Hickory High School to coach the basketball team. Now, Norman Dale was a very famous and very successful college coach about 10 years earlier. But he got in some trouble due to his temper and kind of out of the game for 10 years. So this is a story of redemption for Gene Hackman's character. Barbara Hershey is in the movie as the love interest, or I might call the hate interest. They don't seem to really like each other at all through the movie, and then at the end they're just magically in love, which I'll explain as well, which I assume resulted in some really intense hate sex between the two of them, but I can't say that for sure. Dennis Hopper is the years ago star of the basketball team who has a son on the team. He's now the town drunk. Story of redemption for him. How about that? I'm not going to go through the whole entire plot here. We'll go through a few of the plot points. By the way, Sheb Wooley is in this movie. He plays the friend that got Gene Hackman the job to coach the team. He's the principal of the high school in Hickory. Sheb Wooley was on Rawhide, but you might know him better as the singer of the one-eyed, one-horn, flying purple people leader. One-eyed, one. He's in a lot of movies and other things. A lot of movies and a lot of other things. So, anyway, the Indiana High School Basketball Association, High School Athletic Association, the tournament went. It was a single class, and people in Indiana took a lot of pride about that. It's like, we won class, won championship, there we go. And in 1997, for whatever reason, they decided to do it by classifications. And since then, it's kind of sucked. My high school went to it, I believe in 1970, and at the time my high school was not that big. We had a Mr. Basketball at the time as well. We went again, and my father graduated from the same high school I went to. In 1977, we won the whole shebang, the whole thing. And you want to talk about a town going crazy. Oh, boy. Since then, we've won it several times since classification. So it's like, ho-hum, whatever. Whatever, who cares? Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Metal Maiden Mickey is sacrilegious. She hasn't seen the movie yet. The music score is great. As a matter of fact, the music score by Jerry Goldsmith was nominated for an Academy Award. Metal Maiden Vicky says, I did see Rudy, but a long time ago. Doopa Doopa Doo says, was basketball in Indiana like football in Texas? As a matter of fact, Doopa, that's what I tell people. I tell them basketball in Indiana is like football in Texas. It's a religion. Metal Maiden Vicky says, I don't know, the score, music score. Now I'm curious. Maybe Tom will mention the album. It's the soundtrack for the movie Hoosiers. Is the only thing I know it would be called. By the way, maybe there's some quotes from the movie in it type stuff, but there's no, it's a score. There's no popular songs on it or anything. There's no St. Elmo's Fire. None of that. It's a serious, dramatic film score. Na 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 na. Metal Man Vicky says, I have that song on one of those compilation records. I think it's called Funny Bones. What song? Oh, Flying Purple People Eater, yeah. Some of the plot points in the movie are similar to Milan High School, a very small school in rural southern Indiana. Both schools had small team, undersized. They didn't have giant players. They both, well, I don't know how much of a spoiler I want to do. I know that I've met most of the members that were surviving of the Milan High School team, including Bobby Plump, who was the Jimmy Chitwood. Jimmy Chitwood, I almost have to tell part of the plot of this movie, but Jimmy Chitwood, the guy who makes the last shot in the movie, was based on Bobby Plump, who did the very same thing Jimmy Chitwood does. They get him the ball, and he stood there with it. He stood there spinning it in his hands, not even trying to dribble, until the clock got down to just 4 or 5 seconds. There you go. Now, the thing of it is, the Hickory Huskers in the movie were different than the actual team, the Milan High School team, in that they had actually had a really, really good season the year before. They were actually kind of figured to be a powerhouse because the season before they only lost 2 games and went to the semifinals. Now, you may wonder how a small school like that can excel. And I'm going to tell you that although the big schools have more players to choose from and probably bigger, better athletes, when you get a little town in Indiana and you've got the same 5, 6, 7 guys who have been playing together, and keep in mind, basketball is your main activity. There's no video games. There's nothing else other than farming. You're going to get some dudes that really know how to play well together. They know everything about each other. They know every move, and they've gotten used to it. That's how that thing kind of happens. So there you go. So in the making of this movie, the reason I'm in it, during the fall of 1985, at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is where the final game takes place, they basically couldn't get enough extras to fill the stands. So what they did was they invited 2 local high schools to move their game to Hinkle Fieldhouse. So Broad Ripple High School and Chittard High School, which is actually the school that Jimmy Chitwood, played by Maris Valanis, I guess is a better way to pronounce it. Jimmy Chitwood, the actor who played him. Good God. Sorry about that. They obliged, and all the crowd shots were filmed during that game. Everybody dressed in like 1954 clothes, and at halftime and after the game is when the actual actors took to the court and shot the fictional state championship with this crowd full of people. Yeah. The home court of Hickory is located in Knightstown. Why am I not showing some of the pictures? There we go. There's the championship team right there. Thank you. Why? Oh, God. I pay $45 a month for this. Never used to do that, but now it does. Thanks. Thank you so much. Here, this will show me how ticked off I am. Look at how mad I am in that picture. Jesus God. Anyway, the home court of Hickory is located in Knightstown, Indiana, not too far from Ball State University, and is now known as Hoosier Gym because of the movie that was shot there. Yeah. Now, there's some backstories here. Angelo Pizzo, the writer, and David Onspa, the directors, they shopped the script around for 2 years before they found an investment for the project. And they had a production budget of about $6 million. And that doesn't seem like a small amount of money, probably even for 1986, but it was. And they had to hire most of the cast playing the team and the extras and the side, characters from the local community and from Indianapolis and a few from Chicago. Gene Hackman, right here on the screen, the late great Gene Hackman, predicted that the film would be a career killer. Well, it actually turned out to be kind of a big hit, and they did get those 2 Oscar nominations. One for our good friend Dennis Hopper here, talking to Gene Hackman in this shot, and the other for Jerry Goldsmith for Best Original Score. Now, shortly after this particular movie was released, and this just shows how bad the NCAA sucks. See those players in the background? 5 of the actors who played the players in the film were suspended by the NCAA from their real-life college basketball teams for 3 games. The NCAA determined that they had been paid to play basketball, making them ineligible when they really were paid to act. So the soundtrack I've already talked about. Let's see, this until 2012, the soundtrack was primarily available under the European title. Over in Europe, they called the movie Best Shot, with several of the film's cues not included on the album. In 2012, Entrada Records released Goldsmith's complete score, making the first time the soundtrack has been released in the USA on CD. The critical response from the movie was huge. Rotten Tomatoes, 91% approval rating. Yeah. The website's critics' consensus reads, it may adhere to the sports underdog formula, but Hoosiers has been made with such loving craft and features such excellent performances that it's hard to resist. Metacritic, let's see here, and CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on the A+ to F scale. Roger Ebert absolutely loves this movie. I would read his quote, but it's so long. What makes Hoosiers special is not only its story, but its details and its characters. Angelo Pizzo, who wrote the original screenplay, knows small-town sports. He knows all about high school politics and how the school board and the parents' groups always thinks they know more about basketball than the coach does. He knows about gossip, scandal, and vengeance. He knows a lot about human nature. All of his knowledge, however, would be pointless without Hackman's great performance at the center of this movie. Etc., 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 etc. Let me see here. Richard Schickel loved it. Variety loved it. Everybody. Now, here's a few other things. Let me see here. Let me get to a couple of your quotes here. Then I'm going to tell you about some of the accolades of this movie, and then we're going to get into the trivia of this movie, which is really where a lot of great stuff is. I thought it had different songs. Okay, gotcha. Well, I had Funny Bone Favorites too, by the way. I had that album. They're coming to take me away. Melanie and Vicky says, I should have realized because of the word score and my head first thought soundtrack. Dooba said Larry Bird came from Indiana. Love Larry Bird, even though I'm a Sixers fan. Basketball in the 1980s and 90s was the best. You're correct. Larry Bird, known as the Hick from French Lick. He's from French Lick in Indiana. And that is one of the kind of cool things about the movie, especially if you are from Indiana. If you're from Indiana, the opening scenes of this movie with Gene Hackman driving to this little country town where he's going to take this job, the scenery is, I get little heartstrings every time I see it because it's springtime. The fields have been plowed and the planning's been done, so they're flat. You can see the dirt, all of that good stuff. And Indiana is so flat you could roll a nickel across it. So you get to see that too. And the other thing about Indiana is some of the little town names. Terhune. We're going to go on up to Terhune. And Ulitic and Cedar Knob and all these little tiny backwards Indiana town names. Cedar Knob, bunch of mites. They got no head toppers. Be careful of that purgatory they call a gym. No drive, 10 feet in. Sorry, I'm quoting lines from the movie. Let's see. HBO's Winning Time is wonderful with Larry's in that. Hey, by the way, is it Winning Time, the Lakers thing? There's a scene from Winning Time where they show Larry Bird coming home to his family's farm. His family didn't have a farm, certainly not that big. But he goes into the barn, and the barn doors open, and there's mountains in the background, and everybody from Indiana is laughing when they see that. It's like, oh, look at those mountains in the background from southern Indiana. Well, look at those. Gilman says continuity is essential. Very cool. Melmain Vicky says very cool, Tom. Dupa says, Tom, where were you sitting in the crowd for the Hoosiers state championship? I am in sort of the bottom of the lower deck on the Hoosiers side of it. Like the Hoosier team was there, and then what was it? South Bend Central, it was supposed to be, I think, the opposing team. I'm on the Hoosiers side, and I'm behind the team, obviously, almost up to the end of the first tier, way over, if you're looking at the team, way over to the left, in that corner. Gilman says, it's a good question, Dupa. It's a good question. Coach Dale, are you coming back next year? It's a good question. I'll just go ahead and give you a little spoiler here, which isn't really a spoiler. The guys who made this movie had a movie that they made which was 2 hours and 44 minutes long or something like that. The studio demanded that they cut it to under 2 hours. That's why there's a few things in the movie that don't really seem perfectly developed. For instance, one of the characters, this is the thing I'm showing right here. This is kind of part of it. This is when one of the characters leaves and convinces another character to also leave the first practice. This is Coach Dale talking to one of the players that left and his dad. The other player ostensibly just left and went up to Terhune. Well, you never see how he got back on the team. If people that really love this movie go, how did Buddy get back on the team? There was never an apology. There was never any. Well, there was an apology. And you can see that scene on the DVD extras. In fact, they're on YouTube now. The other scene that you get to see is, it's a good question when they ask Coach Dale if he's coming back next year, the press, when they go to the state finals. And she yells out, it's a good question. Well, there are several scenes of Coach Dale and Myra Fleener, the Barbara Hershey character, one of which has her telling him after all this, are you coming back? That she is going to graduate school up at the University of Chicago. She's leaving Hickory. And he's devastated, and she's like, Chicago's not that far. And it really isn't. It's a couple-hour drive. So that's the it's a good question thing. I'll tell you about more of those scenes and plot twists in just a second. That's cool that the movie was filmed on location, too. Yeah. And by the way, the state championship was at Hinkle Fieldhouse for a long, long time until Market Square Arena came around. The finals were at Hinkle Fieldhouse. So you're seeing it right where that actual true story really happened. Need that kind of authenticity when making a movie like that. Yeah, the old gyms and all that. They really do the old gym thing really great in that movie. Gilman says, then they do 3-on-3. Yes, they do. Well, the first practice, they don't even use a ball. What's all this weird out here practicing without a ball? And well, they do when they dribble through the chairs. He's got them dribbling through the chairs. Dupa says they forgave the mountains in the background of Larry Bird's hometown. I forgave. Well, you might have, but people from Indiana don't. We don't cut into things like that. We don't cut into that kind of thing. Let me tell you right now. There we go. Well, this is a better one. I think this is a better shot right there. Gilman says, would like to see Bird spin off from Showtime. Larry Bird is a national treasure in Indiana. He's absolutely the basketball Jesus. He's so. I don't know if you guys know about Larry Bird, but Larry Bird was the biggest trash talker in the NBA. He would, and it's in winning time, he would tell you what he was going to do and then do it. I'm going to go to your right. I'm going to take 2 dribbles, and I'm going to shoot it in your face and bust your head wide open. Drain it right in front of you. Anyway, here's a few accolades for the movie Hoosiers. Hoosiers have been named by many publications as the best or one of the best sports movies ever made. And I think it's right to call it a sports movie, but it's so much more than that. I talked about all the redemption arcs, all the little moments, the little town and all the characters in it, how much basketball means to them. Yes, as a sport, but as their identity. It's their pastime. There's a bunch of scenes from this movie that are really good that show all the farming. These are farm communities, hardcore farm communities. And there's a huge stretch where Coach Norman Dale actually goes and helps because he's staying like in the upper part of a barn in this little makeshift apartment. And he goes out and helps with a lot of the chores when he's not coaching or teaching. He's also a teacher at the school. And so it's really, more than a sports movie. You've got Gene Hackman, who was this great college coach of the Ithaca Wars, has an altercation that causes him to be not only fired, but lifetime banned from the NCAA. He can, however, coach high school sports. But for 10 years, he's in the Navy. He's not even coaching at all. And so coming to Hickory and starting to coach again, tremendous redemption arc for him. And it is very rough going at first. Very rough going. Hoosiers was ranked number 13 by the American Film Institute on its 100 Years, 100 Cheers list of most inspirational films. It's an underdog story. The film was the choice of readers of USA Today as the best sports movie of all time. In 2001, Hoosiers was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. In June of 2008, the American Film Institute revealed its top 10 best films in the 10 classic American film genres. Hoosiers, acknowledged as the 4th best film in the sports genre, which is a travesty. In 2015, MGM partnered with the Indiana Pacers to create Hickory uniforms inspired by the film. The Indiana Pacers wore the tribute uniforms during select games during the 2015-2016 NBA regular season in honor of the film's 30th anniversary. There we are. How about all that stuff? Sure, we got some people in the crowd here that, let's see, we saw that. Oh, yeah, Larry Bird has the highest basketball IQ of all time. Here, let me open up this here file that's got some of the trivia from Hoosiers that you will love. You're going to just love it. Okay, and there's a lot of it, by the way. Lots of trivia about the production of this film. Incidentally, Gene Hackman, throughout his career, was known as being kind of rough on new directors, directors that had never directed a movie before. And David Onspa was one of those. And David Onspa talks about how he had these sleepless nights. I'll read you some quotes. But Gene Hackman also thought this movie was going to be the biggest flop, the worst movie of all time, and that it would end his career. There is actually a scene in the movie that's from a montage where he and Dennis Hopper are on the bench and they both start laughing. And it's because Gene Hackman told Dennis Hopper, I hope you invested well because this is going to be the end of both of our careers. He did not think the movie was going to be good at all. Now, at the end of the film, a lot of times they have to do voiceovers, pickups for certain scenes that the sound wasn't perfect when they actually shot it. So they got to do some new voice work that they overlay over the top of the real film. And they needed Norman Dale's character, Gene Hackman, to come in and do that. Well, David Onspa didn't think that Gene was going to do it because he'd given him such a hard time. He thought the film was going to be a flop. And to make sure that he did it, he showed a rough cut, which is kind of without all of the, sweetening of the video and the audio and everything else, but a rough cut of the movie. And Gene Hackman, apparently, after he saw it, just turned to him and said, "How in the hell did you do that?" He was at that point extremely impressed with the film. So, I don't know. There's a scene in the movie. This is a bunch of trivia from the movie. You're going to like this. Let's see. Melanie Vicky says, at first I read that as the highest barbecue of all time. I thought he's really tall. No, he's only 6'9", but he's probably closer to 6'10", and he's just big. The Wolf says, let's face it, you really don't want any of us getting together in a pickup game anywhere in the country. Those of us who played will teach you what fundamental basketball is. That is kind of a thing. I've been all over the country, and I played basketball a lot, pickup games all over the place. And it's this thing where if you find out another dude is from Indiana, you always make sure you get on the same team with him. And if you do, you always win. It's a thing. In my opinion, there are 4 places in the United States that are serious basketball places. One is Indiana, one is Kentucky, one is North Carolina, and one is Kansas. Everywhere else, no. You can claim New York is great. You can claim New York City, and we got this famous. In those 4 places, and Indiana more than any of them, you live and you breathe and you eat and you sleep basketball. And playing defense is just as revered and glorified as playing offense. It's a work ethic, team down to your community thing. It is hard to explain. But if you're out playing pickup, and I remember one time, I used to do some work for what we will call an adult men's magazine that might have been owned by Larry Flint. And there was a photographer there that was basketball crazy. He was actually from Austria. He wasn't even from the United States. And in between some of the photography that was being done, we'd have lunch. There'd be periods of time we're waiting on one of the people that's supposed to have their picture taken. And this guy had a basketball court in his photo studio, this giant photo studio. There was actually like a full-length basketball court. Normally, you played half court. It was normally 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. I came to the shoot, and I had an Indiana Hoosiers T-shirt on for whatever reason. And he just went, Indiana? I went, yeah. You're from Indiana? I said, yeah. You want to play basketball with us? I said, sure. Why not? He goes, this man is on my team. This man is on my team. It's a thing. It's a thing. Where was I? It was in Florida. We started playing pickup. I think I had my Carmel High School thing on. A guy came up to me and goes, you went to Carmel? I said, yeah. You know about Carmel? He goes, yeah, played against them. You guys destroyed us. I'm from Kokomo. And at that point, we both go, why don't we try and run together here? Because when you play with people from other places, there's always a ball hog. There's always a guy that can't pass. But if there's another dude from Indiana When you get the ball, you know he's going to set a pick for you. You know he is. And, you know, when he sets that pick, you know he's going to peel off it and you're going to be able to do the pick and roll. It's just the thing that you do. The give, the go, the rest of it. Other places, sorry. There's not, you guys have heard me talk about Indiana. There's not very much I brag on Indiana about. Basketball, yeah, I will. Because it's basketball, corn, and a race every year. That's it. There ain't nothing else. Well, in Ball State. Gilman says, love the satin warm-ups Hickory had. They were great, weren't they? We know Jimmy is the best player. Who is second? Buddy? Defense? Well, Buddy was good on offense. A lot of people would say it's Rafe. A lot of people would say it's Rafe because he could also light it up. But I would have to say it's either Rafe or Merle because Merle was the point guard and also played that smothering defense. It's hard to say who's second best. I mean, you could make a case for Ollie. If it wasn't for Ollie hitting those free throws at the semi-state, or was it I think it was the semi-state. They're not in the finals. So H2BH, Jared, H2BH. Gilman says, in Kentucky, basketball is king. We have no pro teams. Well, you used to. You used to have the Kentucky Colonels, but no more. No more. Doopadoopadoo says, I'll take a defensive team over an offensive team any day. And I played offense. Well, since you mention it, in 1990, the unheralded Ball State Cardinals went to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA basketball tournament and lost by 1 point, or maybe it was one basket, to eventual national champion UNLV. That year, Ball State led the nation in scoring defense, meaning they held their opponents to the lowest average points per game. They played incredible defense. They also shot like 70% from the free throw line as a team. The team average was 70%. So, yeah, I'm all about the D. I'm all about the defense. Sorry, that didn't sound so good the first time I said it. Doopadoopadoo says Kentucky deserves a pro team. They really do. But see, Kentucky has Louisville and the University of Kentucky, which are kind of de facto their pro teams. Although that same 1990 Cardiac Cardinals Ball State team, guess who they beat on the way to the Sweet 16? Louisville. Louisville. People saying hi. Dupa says all states deserve pro teams. I don't know about that. Arkansas doesn't have any. I don't know if they're deserving. Gilman says, I thought it was Raid. Am I wrong? Let me see here. Well, look it up yourself. I'm in the middle of a show. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Shit. Now I got it. Sometimes you guys ask questions during this frickin' show, and I'm like, what? Yeah, now I'm gonna stop down and see. It might be. Every now and then, not all the time, because I do know most of the stuff, but every now and frickin' then could you look at it is Raid. Played by Steve Holler, who's a dentist now. If I said Rafe, I'm sorry. Wolf says, now wait, there's a covered bridge festival and drag racing each other at this. Yeah, those things kind of suck and they aren't that good. And who cares? They got covered bridges elsewhere. Oh, big deal. There's a scene in the movie where Jimmy, for some reason, is shooting baskets on a makeshift court that's got like sawdust for reasons, who knows why. Maybe it had dirt or who knows. And Coach Dale is telling him about, you've got a special skill, a gift. It's not mine. It's not the town's. It's not Myra Fleener's. It's yours. Blah, and all this speech. And he's just shooting baskets and not missing a single shot. Just nailing everyone. Because Jimmy Chitwood is the greatest basketball player that any of them have ever seen. And he stopped playing when his father died. So everyone's trying to get him to play, trying to get him to play, trying to get him to play. And then Coach Dale says something to him, and he finally misses a shot because of the significance of what he says. During that scene, the guy who plays Jimmy Chitwood, Maris Valanis, says he wasn't even listening to Gene Hackman. He was just concentrating on making the shots and didn't even, what he was saying didn't even matter. There's a scene where Dennis Hopper's character is drunk and stumbles out onto the court. He had learned a technique on the set of Giant, which he was in, with James Dean. And James Dean taught him this. To appear drunk, he needed a 10-second notice before the scene was to be shot, and he would spin around furiously as long as he could and then try to walk and stuff to simulate being drunk. In the locker room before the final game, they're having these inspirational little moments, and on the blackboard, they've got Hickory's players and their last names on one side, and then the opposing team's players and their names on the other side. The opposing team's players are actually the real names of the actors who play for Hickory. So yeah, let's see here. David Anspaugh said before filming began, he was so excited to have Gene Hackman. He was the coolest guy to hang out with. He was funny and told great stories and all that. And then on the first day of shooting, he became an entirely different person. And he just made it hell on earth for me every day. He was everything negative. He wanted off that movie. Now, the last shot of the movie, the people in the crowd stormed the court. And due to the nature of how they shot it, which I told you about earlier, he was told that even if he missed, people were going to storm the court. And they had to tell him that because they rehearsed it several times, and he was missing like crazy. Well, when the cameras actually started rolling, Maris Valanis there was money. Nailed the shot on the first take. Let's see here. Gene Hackman, I already told you that story. After the film became a hit, Kent Poole, he's the one that said, let's win this one for all the small schools who never had a chance to be here. The reason he got to say that was he was a star at Western Boone High School. And in 1982, Western Boone made this huge run to the very end of the tournament, and they lost in the semi-state by one basket. And he knew how much Kent Poole loved small schools and that small school spirit, and so that's why he got to deliver the line, let's win this one for all the small schools that never had a chance to get here. Kent Poole, sadly, did a bad thing to himself and is no longer with us. Yes. Yes. Writer-producer Angelo Pizzo describes Gene Hackman causing problems during filming. Says when he arrived, he was generally in a foul mood. We called him the Black Cloud. He started complaining about everything. There were some blow-ups on the set, some throwing of jackets and near fistfights. There was all sorts of drama on the set. Then Dennis Hopper arrived 3 weeks into shooting, and he settled Gene down. I think Gene decided to just suck it up and finish it and get out of there. According to Pizzo, on the last day of filming, Hackman said, I just want you to be prepared for the fact that this movie might get a few views on screens here in Indiana, but then it will end up in the dustbin of films that never made it. And the only people who will remember it are you two. I hope I forget it when my plane lands in Los Angeles, commented Pizzo. Gene had a lot more experience in filmmaking than we did, so we thought this assessment was probably accurate. Yeesh. Yeesh. Hackman and David Anspaugh clashed throughout most of the production. Anspa says that Gene had me on the verge of a nervous breakdown. A nervous breakdown. He gave me my first anxiety attack. One morning I woke up and couldn't walk. The room was spinning. I thought every day on the film was going to be my last because Gene's agent was trying to get me fired. According to Anspa, the only thing that saved his job was the dailies, the reviews of what they would shoot every day. The producer said, look, David's not getting fired, because the people that were actually seeing the movie come to life were like, no, you're wrong about this. This thing's kicking ass. We showed a half an hour of dailies to Gene's agent, and he saw that what we were making was actually pretty good. So there you go. Raid, played by Steve Holler, he went to DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana. Go ahead, Wolf. Tell him all about it. When the movie was released, the NCAA wanted to penalize him for playing basketball for money. The NCAA eventually ruled that he'd been hired as an actor, not as a basketball player. But in their wisdom, they still gave him a 3-game suspension, and he was told to return 5% of his pay. The NCAA sucks. Money-grubbing. Harry Dean Stanton turned down the role of Shooter, played by Dennis Hopper, for which he got an Academy Award nomination. In 2013, Harry Dean Stanton said he regretted saying no to the film, and he couldn't remember why he even did it. David Anspa and Angelo Pizzo wanted to release their 2-hour and 48-minute version of the movie. The studio says, nope, it's got to be an hour and 44 minutes. And so one of the biggest things about the movie that everyone mentions is Buddy asking to return to the team, which never happens in the movie. But there is that scene. You can see it online. Or the scenes about Norman and Myra's romance, which seems to come out of nowhere. Anspa says the audience really got cheated and robbed over the cuts. Dennis Hopper wasn't even sure if he wanted to play Shooter because he had just stopped drinking. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, here's a very interesting thing that if you've seen the movie, this is going to blow your mind. Man, this is going to blow your mind, man. Check this out. Jimmy Chitwood, who is, where is old Jimmy? Isn't he second from the left there, I think, on the back row? Jimmy Chitwood only has 4 lines of dialogue in the entire movie. He has 3 lines in the scene where Coach Dale wins the vote to keep his job. And then he has 1 more line. And that's the I'll make it in the climactic scene of the movie. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? The announcer at the final game is a guy I've actually met many times. He's no longer with us, named Hilliard Gates, who was the real-life announcer for the statewide radio network and was on TV and stuff. In fact, he's the television announcer, along with Jerry Baker, for the 1977 Carmel High School win over East Chicago that you can actually watch online if you care to. In the opening scenes of the movie, there's a steering wheel on Norman Dale's car that has a wooden knob attached. They were called spinners, and they were common before the days of power steering, and much smaller steering wheels, allowing the driver to make faster, continuous turns in a single sweep. Because before power steering, you really had to work that steering wheel to make a turn. Yeah. What do you think about that? Oh, there's a scene at the final game where this kind of barbershop quartet-y group sings the national anthem. Now, that is of note because the group was called the Travelers. And the quartet who sings the national anthem at the state finals never auditioned for that because the screenplay did not include the singing of the anthem. The Travel Airs have been hired to entertain the fans during the many breaks in filming while they were still in the stands. Now, the group suggested shooting a national anthem scene, and the filmmakers agreed. Even though no one had heard the group sing the anthem, and the group had never sung it together before, they rolled the cameras and they captured that in just one take. Ollie makes those 2 free throws, and he shoots underhanded style, which I think some people see in the movie as a way to make Ollie look not that good at basketball. But the truth is, the underhanded style of shooting free throws was not uncommon in the 1950s. Several NBA players used it on a regular basis. As of 2022, the last professional player to use it almost exclusively was Rick Barry, who retired in 1980, and he hit 90% of his free throws during his career, the best percentage of made free throws in NBA history. Jimmy Chitwood misses only 3 shots in the movie. 3 shots. Once when Coach Dale first meets him in the gym. Once when he's shooting outside, that scene I mentioned earlier, when he wasn't paying attention to him at all during that scene. And once in the final game. 3 shots. By the way, a Hoosier is defined as someone who was born in Indiana or who lives there. Jack Nicholson, the great Jack Nicholson, wanted to play Coach Norman Dale, but he was serving as a witness in a lawsuit which sidelined him for 6 months. He told the producers he knew they were on a tight schedule to shoot, and if they found another actor to go ahead, if not, he could do it the next year. That's when Gene Hackman signed on for the part. And after the film came out, Nicholson said to David Onspa that the movie and its stars were great, but it would have been a mega hit if he had been the star. There you go. One of my favorite lines was during a tense encounter between the interim coach, George, and the new coach, George, warns Norman Dale that he'll personally strap your ass to a pine rail and run you up the Monon line. Well, the Monon was a railroad line that functioned almost entirely within the state of Indiana, from Chicago to Louisville, from 1897 to 1971. It's now part of CSX Corp. And by the way, the Monon Trail is a big deal now in Indiana. Of the 8 actors who played Hickory Huskers, only David Niedorf was not from Indiana. He was from Los Angeles. You also see him in the movie, I think, is it Bull Durham? Yeah, it's Bull Durham. He's in Bull Durham as well. The Avon Theater, whose marquee said closed for big game, burned down in 1999. Steve Holler, who plays Raid, and who doesn't know how to pass the ball 4 times before shooting. He played high school basketball in Warsaw, Indiana. Warsaw was the state champion in 1984 when Holler was a junior. And Steve Holler is now a dentist. When the team arrives at Butler Fieldhouse, known as Hinkle Fieldhouse, by the way, in real life, after legendary coach Tony Hinkle, both Coach Dale and Buddy take off their shoes before walking on the wood basketball court. David Niedorf, by the way, was the only professional actor among the lads in the movie. The only professional. Yes, the only professional, yes. Let's get another picture up here. I guess that one will do for the time being. Let's see. I already mentioned that the real gym is in Knightstown. Oh, here's a little thing. Dennis Hopper appeared in Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, and Giant, 1956, with James Dean. James Dean was a native Hoosier who played in Fairmont for the Fairmont High School basketball team in the late 1940s. How about that? During one of the game montages, Hickory is shown playing Decatur. The director, David Onspa, was born in Decatur, Indiana. Hey, and guess who else is from Decatur? Brad. The Wolf's long-lost roommate, Brad. The legendary Brad, also from Decatur. Now, Norman Dale is an older coach. He's an older guy. But in the real-life story, the coach's name was Marvin Wood, okay? And Marvin Wood was in his mid-20s when he coached Milan to the championship. He often suited up and practiced with the team. He left Milan after 2 very successful years and continued to coach Indiana high school teams for many, many, many years after that. His record after Milan was just a little above 500. He died in 1999, 2 years after Indiana changed its high school playoff system to include small schools like Milan and preventing them from competing for that one big state championships. Bunch of jerks. Bunch of jerks. Myra says at the end of the film that she's a miller's daughter, and she would play a miller's daughter in Once Upon a Time. And for a long time, my high school's severe rival was the Noblesville Millers. But we got super good, and they were no longer our rival after that. They were small fry compared to the other schools we became rivals against. North Central, Ben Davis, Center Grove. Anyway, the film has 1 Oscar winner, Gene Hackman, 2 Oscar nominees, Barbara Hershey and Dennis Hopper. Barbara Hershey's just so bitter in this. I love her as an actor, I really do. But this movie, she's just, yeesh. While most of the non-actor basketball players, meaning, the Hickory Huskers, did not act again, a few notable exceptions. Maris Valanis, Jimmy Chitwood, would play Liberace's friend Scott Thorson in a TV movie right after Hoosiers. And Steve Holler, guy who became a dentist, appeared in a low-budget Vietnam War movie in 1988. And Kent Poole, who wound up doing that bad thing to himself at age 39, again acted under David Onspa in a movie called Fresh Horses. That was it. The rest of them never acted again. Never acted again. Jimmy scores at least 26 of Hickory's 42 points in the championship game. And Hickory never, ever had the lead in the game until that final shot. So there you are. A lot of people have dissected this movie like crazy, and they know every single tiny facet. Let me see something here. What do I want to do here? I think I would like to do this first. And where are we at? The pro team. I care. It's a festival. Granted, I don't remember it. Well, there you are, Wolf. Don't even remember it. There's covered bridges everywhere. A lot of people do that. Well, we have covered bridges, but there are covered bridges everywhere. Who cares? It's a bridge. It's got a roof. My favorite Dennis Hopper scene is, no spoilers. Every Dennis Hopper scene is good. Cletus, my friend of years, friend of tears. Wolf says, I thought you were going to say he taught him how to cry. No, I didn't teach him how to cry. Funky Bronco is this close from not being able to comment here ever again. You know what a downer it is to be ready and excited about a show And every single day you log into StreamYard, you go to the comments section, and this Yahoo is mentioning how drunk he is already hours earlier. First thing you see when you start doing the show is, these beers taste good. Funky Bronco, I'm serious. I just don't need to see that. Keep it to yourself. We all know you're a just horrible, horrible person that's unable to stop drinking. We all know this. You're not educating us. Please keep it to yourself. If you can't dry out or get some help, keep it to yourself. All right? Metalman Vicky says, we had a basketball hoop at my family's house. I liked it, and it was fun. I never followed with it in middle school, but I could play a mean game of horse. Let's see here. Gilman says, was the real Muncie team as stacked as the mighty Bears of South Bend Central? Yeah. They had Ron Bonham. Yeah. Muncie Central at one point had won the state championship, and certainly they did in the single classification more than anyone else, which is a little hard to imagine, but they did. Let's see here. God. Okay, Funky Bronco, you're done. You're done. I'm sorry. I've had it. I am really sorry. Goodbye. Goodbye. I've warned you 10 times. I just don't need to see all your drunk nonsense. It's not what this show's about. So, been nice knowing you. Have a nice life. Gene was a real jerk. You know, it's interesting because David Onspa and Angelo Pizzo have all these stories, but the players themselves have a lot of very kind stories about him, that he was very helpful in the lead up to the movie by giving them acting lessons and stuff as a group, that he was really great and he was really nice. So, you know, I think there's the professional side of it, and then there's working with the actors side of it, and I can see both sides. Gene Hackman's Academy Award winner. He gets there, and this guy's his first film. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, maybe they turned out with something great, but he was skeptical. But by the same token, maybe those guys have a chip on their shoulder because he was calling them out for not knowing what they're doing. Who knows? Look, they made a masterpiece. No matter who's right and who's wrong, they made a masterpiece. By the way, if you've ever seen, I think Onspa also made a great soccer movie about the miracle at Belo Horizon in 1950. USA upsets England in the World Cup. You know how I feel about soccer. Not the greatest movie that's ever been made. Metalman Vicky says, I'm in high school, not middle school. Okay, I'm glad we got that straightened out. Dooba says, you did trick shots? My mother beat everyone in the neighborhood because she shot like a woman who played in the 1950s. Dooba, my mom shot that way too. She had that set shot thing. Yeah, she was pretty deadly with that. I've heard that too, Wolf. It was a real jerk. She did. It was so frustrating. I wanted to win. All right, I bet. I'm not commenting on any Funky Bronco stuff. Easter, never heard of it. Would love to see the whole movie. I'd love to see there be a director's cut. I really would. Well, Metalman Vicky says Easter is on 4/20 this year, I think. Well, then a lot of people will be celebrating Easter this year. Let's see here. Gilman says, I still use the phrase today, I'll make it. Rick Barry, yes. Doopadoo says, Brad! Wolf, what would you think about all of us emailing Brad on the same day? Everyone, all of us email Brad. Doopadoo says, Dennis Hopper was also in Blue Velvet. Sorry, I'm missing David Lynch. Well, if you must know, 1986 saw Dennis Hopper in both Hoosiers and Blue Velvet. And amongst his friends, Dennis Hopper, he kind of said, hey, I really would have liked to have been nominated for my performance in Blue Velvet because I think it was a better performance. Dooba says, Ben Davis are a bunch of jerks. They are. It's funny, too, because I coached at Ben Davis for a couple of years. They are a bunch of jerks. Much bigger school than my school when I was in high school. I'll send you a love letter, Dupa, straight from my heart. Scott is here from Australia. He says, turn on the call-in line. I have some stuff to say. Yeah, when I feel like it. See, this is another reason you can never be the producer. Giving me orders in the chat room. The phone lines get open when I say. When I say the magic words, phone lines are open. When I get through some comments, when I do what I want to do, then the phone lines are open. Not before. Never going to be the producer. Doopadoo says, my favorite Dennis Hopper scene in Hoosiers is where he's in the hospital at the end of the movie. No school this small has ever been to the state final. Wolf says, hey, Dupa, let's go for a joyride. Sorry, neighbor. Let's go for a joyride. Okay, Scott. Doopadoo says, Blue Velvet was so wonderful and scary. Not as good as Hoosiers, though. Hi, Wolfie. Gilman says, take a lesson from Shooter, Funky Bronco. Get yourself in a hospital and dry out. I got a new dry out. We're hitting on all cylinders. After what Jimmy did. Take the Indiana National Guard. Wolf says, Dupa, there's something scary about driving through Lumberton at 120. I just hung up on you, Scott. When I say, I'll close the phone lines down completely. Don't even. Gilman says, I just celebrated Easter early. I am the producer. You're not the producer. Okay, I'm shutting them down. Just going to shut the phone lines down. Boom. Shut down. You don't learn. Don't learn. You don't get it in your head. You just don't get it in your head. Sorry. You could have, but you didn't. Look. Todd said something. Todd, I'm trying to decide, a timeout or an outright banning? Hard to decide. I think a timeout. Yeah, a timeout for Todd. Let me see. Don't forget to up fingers. Chill out, Scott. Yeah. You weren't listening. Another reason you can't be the producer. Not listening. Got to be able to listen. It's all about you all the time, 247. Except you don't have the gumption to start your own show. Then you could do whatever you want. All the time. And you could rest on the laurels of Scott being Scott. There was a delay. Doesn't matter if there was a delay. You should know better. Shouldn't need to be told. See what I mean? If you have to be explicitly told everything, that's not what a producer does. Sorry. Producer already knows, but you don't. You do know better. Well, all right. You can claim that. Now the phone lines are off because of you. And now we're going to end the show. And I'm not putting any more of your comments up for the rest of the show. Next time, maybe. Try again next time. Try again next time. You just can't learn. It's sad. I once had to tell an intern at a place I worked who desperately wanted to be a writer. Desperately. And I had to tell her, there's the things that we're good at, and then there's the things that we would like to be good at. And you seem to have had a career in this other thing that you were very successful at before you were trying this. And I would suggest, because it's been, 6 months now, that you go back to doing that. Because you're good at that. This you're not good at. I know you have the burning desire, but sometimes, Music Big Biz Marty official says, great show so far, Tom. Well, it's coming to a crashing halt. The Wolf says, thanks a lot, Scott. Now we can't call in. You're a real jerk. Guy's a real jerk. Mary Jacobs says, hi, Tom. How are you? Christian Slater. How are you, Mary? Christian Slater says, spiders and spiders and spiders and spiders. And it's been a while since we've seen the spiders. No scenes with spiders in Hoosiers. Wolf saying hi to Mary Jacobs. Yeah, we would have had a nice call-in segment. But Scott just can't follow the rules. There's rules. Mary Jacobs says, so many spiders and so little time. So little time. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, is verified by independent sources. Hey, do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, retweet. All those free things, 100% free, don't cost you a cent, that you can do to help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful algorithm. And we need the help, folks. That show we did last night on the Gerald Ford assassination, which frankly was brilliant. Oh, a ratings disaster. If you could put the link to this show or my page or anything else on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your TikTok, I'd be appreciative. We really need the help. We do have super chats. We do have memberships. Our good friend Bout joined as a member this evening, and we'd love it when you do that, because we got to pay the bills around here, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Oh, minor correction. Scott did run a show called The Weekly Sacrifice. Great show, Tom. Well, I guess it's not around anymore. There are no rules for me. And you wonder why you're never going to be. Scotty doesn't know any better. Now, that I agree with. He's Australian. Used to the slipshod, low standards, criminal level, failed. Nobody cares except people from Australia level of stuff that they do in Australia. Major network news anchors wearing pastel clothing, not presentable, balding, just... Yeah. Scott has its moments. He would always spice up my show back in the day. Well, maybe a show spicer-upper, but not a producer. Isn't it no rules, just right in the Outback? I don't know. I don't even know if he's in the Outback. Minor correction. We already covered that. More spiders. I can't have enough spiders. Metal Maiden Vicky says, I go back and watch shows of yours I've missed. Always good stuff. Well, thank you, Metal Maiden Vicky. Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com, Saturday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll love it. The Weekly Sacrifice was a great show. Well, then why don't you go back there? All right, our phone lines are open again. Why should I let Scott ruin it for everybody? Just a real jerk. I'm not going to let my Hoosiers show be ruined by Scott. That ain't happening. He gets a little bit out of line, and we'll 86 him. Okay, here we go. Come on.
You there, Tom?
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't take my call.
you're not supposed to. You there, Tom? That's not how we do it. Okay, I'm going to hang up on you. Call back again, and we'll see if you can do it properly the next time.
No,
that's not the way it works.
Don't you dare hang up on me. Don't you dare hang up on me. This is
what happens if I hang up on you
right now. I'm live streaming on my channel. You're live streaming on your channel. Yeah. We're all live streaming.
Your channel. Okay, I'll believe that.
Yeah, just Scott Green. Yeah, you could just click on my channel and watch on my channel right now.
No, I'd prefer not to.
That's not nice, Tom. I'm trying to build a brand.
Well, go build it on your channel.
I am building it on my channel. I'm live right now.
Well, don't use me to do that. Now I'm really going to hang up. Why? You don't just call me up and then tell me that I'm on your channel.
You asked me what I'm doing.
That's a bunch of crap. Well, didn't matter if I ask you what you're doing. You don't just put somebody on your channel that you're supposed to be, working together with, and then, by the way, you're on the air on my channel. I'm actually stream sniping you.
I'm not
great,
stream
super,
sniping, Tom.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
You weren't going to let me go on your show,
right?
So, what was I supposed to do?
Do your own show?
I was doing my own show.
Then why are you here?
Because I was doing my own show because you wouldn't let me on your show.
Yeah. So then why are you here?
Because I need to talk to you about something.
About what?
I wanted to talk to you specifically about the comments you made earlier.
What comments? I've been on the air for an hour and a half. I made a lot of comments. Be more specific. Be a broadcaster. Okay. Be direct. Learn how to communicate. Use your words.
You know what? It's been a while now, but you made comments. I can't actually. I'm drawing a blank. I'm so angry.
Oh God! So you're calling to ask me about things that you can't remember.
I'm not asking you about it.
Well, then you're calling to comment on things you can't remember.
Yes. No. I was calling to comment about the dude that was messaging about him being drunk in the stream all the time. Why can't you, rather than block him, why can't you just ignore his comments?
Because people respond to him and it's just distracting and I don't like it. And the other thing about it is, as I mentioned, if you were listening, which is something else a producer would do, when I open up my StreamYard, every day, there's 5 or 6 comments from him about what a drunk he is. I'm not a favor of drinking that heavily.
Was that
and
him
so
calling out
it's
for help
a downer. It's a downer. Oh no, we've tried to help him. He doesn't know. We're going to go the AA route here, and he needs to bottom out because he's not taking any of the help we've offered him. And it's a downer for me personally every time I log in. Right at the beginning of the show, I'm all excited. I've done all the work. Everything's set up. I've got all the pictures taken.
I was trying to cheer you
I'll
up.
put a picture of Shooter here on the screen so that people can see he played an alcoholic in the movie. And I have to wade through. Now, look, if his drunken comments were in any way entertaining, that would be a different story. It's the same thing every day. These beers taste good.
Yeah.
Now I realize you're from Australia, so, horrible alcoholic behavior isn't a big deal to you, but it depresses me.
Yeah, no, look, and I understand that. I can understand how, the downfall of society is a depressing thing to really accept.
Music Big Marty says, God grant Scott the serenity to accept the things he cannot change. Well, you should have said that about Funky Bronco, but what was the weekly
Music Big Marty
sacrifice?
also commented that I'm now beating you in likes. I've been live for what?
I don't care.
5 minutes?
I don't care. What's that mean? I'm beating you in number of shows done and total views there.
So minute.
You don't have any clue as to why I do this show. You don't have any understanding of why I do this show. I didn't even know you had a show until 10 minutes ago.
I don't have a show.
So I don't really,
I mean, this is the democratization of the
have
internet,
a show.
right? Anybody can just get online and
you don't really have a show, you just said.
That's right. I mean, it's not a show. It's just anybody can load up OBS and just make something happen, which is crazy.
No, I would not say that that's true. That's not true. There's a lot of people who couldn't make OBS work if their life depended on it, that have shows on StreamYard.
Oh yeah, StreamYard is the thing. But no, OBS is such an easy tool. I don't know why you don't use OBS.
I used to.
Yeah, it's much easier. You can change levels real easy. So I could turn you down or turn you up on my show. What do you reckon is the probably minus 20 decibels? Something like that. That's probably about right. Grow together, Tom. That's right. Mary Jacobs is right in the chat. Grow together. You know, all ships, all, you know, tides rise all ships, Tom.
You don't even know how to say that quote.
You know, you got the gist of it.
A rising tide raises all ships.
It makes sense, right?
Well, the way I say it, it does.
I said the same thing.
No, basically. You said ships tide rise make. Use all.
And you understood what I meant.
Well, just because I'm able to, you know, decipher what the head trauma crowd is saying doesn't mean that I enjoy doing it. Cast Iron says Glory Road was a better basketball movie about alcoholic. No. Well, Hoosiers is not predominantly about an alcoholic. That's it.
What about the movie where the dog played basketball? That was pretty cool.
I don't know about the movie where your girlfriend.
You don't remember the movie where the dog played basketball?
Where your girlfriend played basketball? I'm not familiar with that.
Bold of you to assume that I had a girlfriend.
Glory Road was not about Indiana basketball. I think it was about Texas Wesleyan, which is now UTEP.
Airbud. That's right, Mary. Airbud. That's what the movie was called. That's a beautiful movie, Tom. That's a beautiful story.
It's
about a clown dog that gets abandoned.
Dumb.
What do you mean it's dumb?
Dumb story. It's like that movie about those Australians.
Ned Kelly? I don't know. What are you talking about?
Well, God, Ned Kelly's awful.
That's a great... Well, I mean, there's so many of them. Which one?
Gallipoli? Mad Max?
That's not Ned Kelly. Mad Max. No, I'm talking about Ned Kelly. There's so many Ned Kelly movies.
The one with Mick Jagger that's awful.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what
Mick
that one is.
Mick Jagger famously tried acting in a movie where he played Ned Kelly.
I don't remember the donkey playing football. Like soccer? That's a crazy movie.
No, it was Gus, the field goal kicking mule. I think it was a Disney film. If it wasn't a Disney film, it should have been. It had a bunch of actual NFL stars in it, and so this donkey would like face his rear end toward where the field goal is, and the guy that owned the donkey would get the snap, and then he would go oyich, and the donkey would like kick its heels back and kick the football, and it would kick field goals from like 80 yards away.
Yeah.
So,
Tom, I mean, I know you can't see this because you're not watching my stream now, but I wore a shirt to match your shirt. I thought that we could have a special colors matching sort of scenario.
A shirt club.
A shirt club.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is like high vis workwear, and yours is like a pumpkin with a hole.
How am I supposed to reciprocate? I'm not going to grow a stupid beard. I'm not going to not be able to talk unless it's through my nose, and I'm not going to get super drunk and show off parts of my body that shouldn't be shown in a porta potty on the internet.
Tom, all right, I'm gonna tweet this out. I mean, I don't use Twitter. What should I message? A Telegram or something? I don't know how I'm gonna get the message out. Everyone that's watching on my stream, also go watch at Tom's. Watch them at the same time, both unmuted, so that you hear our voices come through twice. Make sure that it's very hard to understand. That's what I'm about, Tom. Synergies. We're about synergies.
Synergies
coming together. Yeah.
Hey, 1998 called. They want their catchphrase back.
We're coming together. There's a synergies. Tom and Scott together.
Okay, well,
Why don't you grow a beard?
if that's all you had, then
No, Tom, I'm here to talk to you. I'm
I
here
know.
to cheer you up. What do you want to talk about?
why do I
Tom?
need to
You
be
seem-
cheered up? I'm very cheered up.
No, you're not.
I just
I can
talked
tell
about
that you're
Hoosiers,
upset.
a movie that technically
Are you
I
itchy?
probably am in, although I have no proof of that.
Are you itchy? You keep scratching.
I do.
yourself.
I do have a thing. It's just like my shirt's in the wrong spot, and I tried to move it over, but yeah, I got an itch.
You got like
right there.
hives or something? What's going on?
No, just needed to scratch the little piece of string on the inside of the shirt.
That's crazy.
Occasionally, people have an itch to scratch. It doesn't
Maybe-
mean hives. It doesn't mean
That's-
bubonic
you know what?
plague or
That's the same
leprosy.
thing.
It just
That's the
means
same
they
thing
have
when
to
I come
scratch
on your
an itch.
show, I have an itch to scratch. That's why I'm here. You know, you ask me why I'm here. I'm here because I have an itch to scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time you run through your neighborhood hammered and find a porta potty, and
That
then
happened more than a year ago, Tom. You need to let things.
yeah,
slide.
well, do it once, and that's a lifetime thing. There's things I've done 15 years ago that you bring up. So, what cheers?
Yeah.
Someone's asking what cheers you up, Scott.
You know what? A clean house, some well bathed children already tucked up into bed, and then I just open up my tablet and head to my favorite pornography website and just have a good evening of it. That cheers me up.
It's disgusting.
What do you mean? You asked me what cheers me up. I can't lie about that shit.
And then the potty mouth. Every time you come on here, you have to curse.
I didn't curse.
And now you're
anything.
bringing your degenerate, behaviors
Well,
that
we all
in
do the
Australia,
same- we all
I'm
do the
sure
same
there's no
thing.
problem talking to me. Hey, you know what I did? I got alone with myself last night and popped over the computer. Nobody wants to hear that, man. Not from an old man like you with that creepy beard and that Charles Manson stare.
I'm not old at all.
Nobody
I'm
wants to
I'm a young
hear it.
man. I'm in the prime of my. Okay, everyone watching Tom's stream right now. How funny does it look? It kind of looks like the character that's bent over right now, and it looks like his microphone is his butt, and Tom's talking into the butt of the microphone. Dude, I'm not 40. I'm like
Nobody
30.
thinks that except for you.
It looks like you're talking into the
Okay, well, there
the
you go.
butt.
How about that?
Yeah.
Let's see here. How old is Scott? He's like 40. Yeah, he's 40.
I'm not 40. I'm 37.
Might as well be.
I'm in my mid-30s.
Might as well be. And
That's
go to
mid-30s.
any college girl and ask them if you're old. You are. Sorry.
I'm not old like you, Tom. I don't
You
even have
are.
gray hair.
I accept the fact that I'm old. There's no question about it. You are the one that can't come to terms with your oldness. You're not a young man anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to break it to you.
I'm still on
If
the
you
way
were to
up.
go to any college
the
campus near you and hang
why
out
would I
in the
be hanging
student
out at
center
college campus?
around the hot girls, you would be a creepy old guy to them. That's
why
what
are you
are.
saying all the hot girls are at college campuses? What?
I
Like
didn't say all of
35-year-old
them were.
women?
I didn't say all of them were.
35-year-old women can't
I
be
didn't
hot
say
women?
all of them were. I didn't say all of them were. You said that. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm just saying there's a higher concentration of them there. You're guaranteed to be in front of many of them there, and they would all say creepy old guy. All of them. To a single
They
one.
would not. They would not.
Yes, they would.
They would say, "Wow, he's a very mature."
They would say, why can't he
old
afford
man."
a razor?
Tom, I could pick up a 22-year-old far easier than you could.
I agree. I wouldn't even,
Physically,
I wouldn't
and-
even try.
physically and sexually.
I wouldn't even try. Well, I have other lures that I would use. But the thing of it is, I
What
wouldn't
other
try.
lures
There's
do you have?
nothing in it for me to be with a 20-something-year-old girl. I have nothing with them culturally, intellectually. I'm not into that. I would feel stupid doing it. They probably are sitting there thinking, why doesn't that Scott have a chin? That's why he grew the beard. He doesn't have a chin. He's chinless. You're hiding your lack of chin under that ridiculous mop of beard.
My beard is beautiful, though.
Okay. I seriously do have to
Tim,
go.
I'm not a creepy old guy.
To the 28-year-old girl you are. I'm sorry, you just are.
28-year-old girl. I've had
Even to a
prospects from
28-year-old
many
girl, you're pushing it.
20-year-olds.
You're pushing it. You're pushing it. Let's see here. What do we got? Scott, what would you talk to a 22-year-old about? Oh, God.
I don't know, Billie Eilish or something?
No, it would be, where are you going? I thought we were having a drink. That's what it would be. That's what it would be. Scott, are you a creepy old guy? The guy that I put in timeout changed. Well, maybe that's a different guy. Extreme Abdul-Jabbar. That's a pretty funny name. Wolf asks, are you a creepy old guy?
I mean, I don't think I am. I think I'm a measured old guy. I think,
Measured.
I'm a family man. I'm
measured?
a dad.
You're not a family man. You're not a family man. You're a dad. You're a dad, but you're not a family man.
I'm a family man.
Really? What's your wife's name?
You have to have a wife to be a family man. What about gay couples?
If you were really a family man, you'd go the full bore and have a 2-parent household. Now, you're a dad. I give you full credit of you being a dad, but family, well, okay.
I'm better than any person that I could possibly introduce into this house.
That's
Duper, I do have kids. I have 2 beautiful daughters that I take care of.
That's
their mother passed away.
There's always going to be one
years ago, and Tom just keeps holding it over me.
Always going to be one parent better than the other. So even if you are better than anyone you would bring into the house, that doesn't mean the person that you bring in the house wouldn't provide things for your children that you do not.
It would be a net negative. Anybody I bring into this house would be a net negative to the balance of this household. Are you
a woman?
Am I of woman?
Are you a woman?
Yes. Duper, my wife passed away, unfortunately, and Tom keeps bringing it up, and it's really, really sad that...
I don't even know that you had a wife to start with. And second of all, I think that if you're not a woman, how are you possibly going to pass on those intrinsic things that only a woman can understand to your daughter? To your daughters. You can't. You can't.
What, I got to teach them about their period or something? Life will teach them. They got female teachers and shit like that will teach it out.
Not even necessarily talking about that, although that's one of those things in your callous disregard attitude about that very traumatic moment in a girl's life just illustrates my point.
It doesn't need to be traumatic. You're making it traumatic.
Illustrates my point.
You're making it traumatic. It doesn't need to be traumatic.
Well, it just is. It's a rite of passage. It's scary to a lot of girls.
No, it doesn't need to be scary.
You don't know when it's going to happen. It's not like you're sitting there with the baby monitor every night going, "Has it happened? Has it happened?" It happens and it's scary.
It's not scary if you prepare people for stuff like that. Okay. It's not scary.
You don't know because you're not a woman.
Because women don't have the same fortitude as men, so they can't handle something like a little bit of blood.
Perhaps, but that would be a distinction, and you're not capable of showing compassion and understanding.
I believe that my daughters have the same fortitude.
You're incapable of showing the compassion and understanding that only a woman who's been through that experience herself can understand, that has the emotions and the hormones and the outlook that only a woman can have. Unless,
so
of course,
Mary is saying the presence of a parental figure does not make that experience any better. Take it from a woman,
maybe
Tom.
In her life.
No. Thank you for speaking for women, Tom.
I know. And by the way, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that answer either, because Mary Jacobs is just it's a disembodied, account on YouTube that we don't even know that is a woman. Secondly, I have interviewed actual women about this on my show, and I'm going by what experts. I'm going by what experts have told me. I'm not going to settle for you. A guy and a non-expert.
Lived experience.
Not settling for that.
The women in my life.
You have proven to be callous and uncaring
Mary.
on so many levels.
I'll join BC. How dare you? Wow, Mary is saying that. How dare you accuse her?
She
of not
could
being
be
a real
AI
woman.
voicing. I'm going to trust an expert, a person I know, a person that I sought out myself. Mary has been in Pod Awfuls BC. Well, what's that mean to me? I wasn't there. Your
Doopa
proof is
Doopa.
not your
Doopa
proof.
Doopa. My daughter.
Your
one of
proof
my
is not
daughters
my
10
proof.
years old, and we have had the chat. We've had discussed those things,
Your
and we've
proof
just sort of said,
isn't my proof. I happen to know a woman who's a senior lecturer in psychology, behavioral psychology.
what would she say about me? She would say I'm a very well-rounded,
Ooh, no, she would not
smart
say that.
person.
No, she would not say that.
Yeah,
She certainly wouldn't say it like you say it.
Smart.
would
I'm a
you-
smart person.
She would say it like a human.
I speak like a human from another country, Tom. Tom, you just need to be more, open-minded about the cultures from around the world. We just come from different cultures.
No, look, dude. I know plenty about you, and I know there's many cultures that you take great joy in denigrating with
Exploiting,
certain pejorative words. And
I
everything
don't
else,
use
so-
any pejorative words.
Oh, dude, come on.
I can barely say pejorative words.
Yeah, that's true. But the words that you say aren't as hard to say. But I'm fine with many other cultures. Trust me, the Germans, the British.
You're really a white sort of, I'm not going to say supremist, but you do believe white people are the better people,
No,
don't you?
I don't.
Well, you said you respect a lot of cultures like Germans and British.
There aren't people of color in Germany or Great Britain.
Well, there are now, but historically.
Okay. Well, then, see, historically, there always have been. Historically. Yeah.
Oh, well, so you respect all Germans, no matter what their origins are or what they've done to those countries.
I respect people in their culture.
Okay.
Not all people. That's ridiculous to suggest that someone would respect all people in any culture.
I respect.
Do you
all
even
people in
think
every
about the
culture.
things that you say? I'm sure there's one or two Australians I would respect. Not many, but there's a couple probably out there.
What have you got against Australians, Tom? What have we
Mostly-
ever done? We've
mostly-
brought you some great things.
mostly
We brought
you.
you Wi-Fi, Tom.
Mostly you. I guess that would be the main thing. I like Tristan Rogers.
Tristan Starchild. Have you ever looked up Tristan Starchild?
No, I don't plan on it.
Yeah.
I like other Australians that I like. Let's
Banana
see.
peel.
I like,
I was just showing my
Mark
stream of
Schwarzer.
banana peel. They were
Pretty
getting
good.
bored.
Okay, dude, I seriously got to go. I got stuff to do this evening.
What do you do?
Plenty of things that are none of your concern, but I have to go.
Tom, you know what I do need to say sorry for. The last time I ended the stream with you, you felt like I was being abrupt and I just left without really saying goodbye. I feel like that was hard on you, more so than me. I just sort of walked away from the stream and went on with my
Not
day.
about me.
I
Not about
listened
me.
back to it, and you seemed like that
It's about the listener, not about
the
me.
listener was done.
No, don't
You
tell
think I have
the
to walk them out?
don't tell me or the listener.
So you're saying that I build people up and I have to walk down?
No, I'm saying it's just rude. Normally, a listener would like, well, Scott, thank you very much for being with us, and I hope you have a very good evening or something like that. And then that's your chance to say,
Hey, well, thank you, Tom. I'm glad I can be here, and I've got a show called.
That's implied. I don't need to say that.
no, it's
People-
not implied. No, it's not
The people that
implied.
listen to your show,
That's like saying
I'm like a friend.
the news is implied. So we just in Australia we just show a news set and they just sit there and stare into the cameras like emus. No, it's not implied. You have to say things in broadcasting. It's not implied.
This is just an OBS stream, Tom.
Well, that's not the goal. We were hoping to become more than that. And once again, you don't listen. I'm not using OBS. It's a YouTube stream.
I'm pretty sure
it's a YouTube stream, not an
OBS
OBS
is a
stream.
tool.
It is one that I'm not using for the 14th time.
What is
Second of
the-
all,
what is
I could be
the-
using
what is the
Streamlabs right
mic?
now, and I would
What
be
is the
using
mic?
both the OBS and Streamlabs.
What is the WinSocket?
But I'd still be streaming on YouTube. I don't
What's the
say
website?
join me on OBS tonight as I blah, 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 blah. I say join me on YouTube. That's the platform that we're on. You just don't have a good grasp of talking in words.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just wing it, Tom. I'm not here, you know,
Yeah.
as a professional like you. I'm just a producer.
So
You're
true.
the talent.
You're not even the producer.
I am the producer.
I've just since this time that you've been on, there's like 5 things before you even got on the air that I pointed out that a producer wouldn't do and would already know.
As the producer,
on down
I knew
the
it was my
line.
time to call on. You didn't know that it wasn't my time.
I am the producer of the show, not you.
Feel like
And a
I'm the
producer would have known that you don't call in until I open the phone lines, and I don't open the phone lines until I say phone lines are open. That's the way the show has worked forever.
That's
the
true,
way all
Lucas.
shows
I do
work.
let the talent be the talent. I mean, Tom is the notoriously fussy, you know, hard to manage talent, and I'm, you know, the producer trying to get
The
you know,
actual producer of the show,
online.
not the delusional producer of the show, has no problems with me, because it is me.
Tom, look, I'm just trying to make your show more exciting. I'm just trying to bring in the
Well,
dollars.
I
trying to bring
appreciate
You
that.
know, would you like me to get you advertisers? I can actually get you advertisers.
I have found that advertisers restrict the content of the show. Hey, Solid Snake, how you doing, brother? Good to see
Welcome,
you. Lucas
Solid Snake in the
Malago,
chat.
good to see you. Dupa says, Mary Jacobs, I do like Scott, but he needs to listen to Tom a little bit more. And Dupa's really nice. When she says a little bit more, she means at all. And the Solid Snake, if Tom wasn't cranky with the guest, I wouldn't know what to think of many guests that I'm not cranky with. Many, many guests. that I'm not
Tom,
cranky
this is just a bit that Tom does. He tries to be upset with me. He actually loves me. We chat all the time. He you know, he actually loves me. What did we talk about last time? You got really upset about something. Let me have a look.
Well, if you were a great producer, you'd remember, wouldn't you?
I'm
I've
just
done
referring
20
back to my
shows since then.
notes.
I've done 20 shows since then, yet you haven't been on here except for that last time, and you can't remember, Mr. I'm a producer.
I am a producer. Look, I'm a part-time producer.
Part-time means never. If never is part-time. Yeah, Scott and I, we talk all the time. We are constantly in contact. There's lots of chats that we have.
You were talking. Damn, Tom, you can't play me like that, Tom. We were talking about the fact that Bluey was the #1 watched show in America last year, and you were very upset by that.
And that wasn't the last time.
Not the last time we were on air.
That's what I'm talking about.
The last
That's what
time
I'm talking about. You were talking about when the last time on the air.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about. That's why I went back to the chat to have a look at what we were talking about in the chat.
Even Mary
And you and
Jacobs.
I will
Even
discuss.
Mary Jacobs says you really should have taken notes, and you didn't.
All right, Tom.
Strip says never
Bluey.
again.
Can we bring up Bluey?
We've
America's
covered
favorite.
that. We've covered
America's favorite.
We've
streaming show.
covered
We've
that.
not talked about Bluey on.
No, we can't. We only talk about things I like here. I don't want to talk about things that I don't like.
Most Americans do like Bluey. Statistically,
That's not
speaking.
correct.
It actually is. Bluey is the most streamed show in America.
That doesn't mean most Americans like it.
Well, more Americans than not.
No, it doesn't mean more Americans than not.
That's what
You
it
don't
means.
know that. It could be
I
5
do know
people constantly streaming it, and everybody else doesn't care. Doesn't necessarily mean.
What don't you like about Bluey? Have you given it a
What?
chance?
Wait, let's say what don't I like about Bluey?
That's right.
Everything.
Okay, you can't name 2 things.
The name and the way it looks.
Okay,
That's
what's
2
wrong with the
things.
way that it looks?
I don't like it. It's dumb.
Oh, you
It's
don't
for
like animation?
children. For starters.
Yes, and you were a editorial director of the Cartoon Network.
Yes, and Cartoon Network is not for children. It's for people who like cartoons. There's a whole marketing strategy. That's the whole reason things were created. We had
And
plenty
Bluey
of
is
shows,
what?
plenty of shows that didn't have cartoony type graphics. They had more life realistic human type animation. Space Ghost Coast to Coast. We actually had live people on the show interacting with animation. So don't go there
Bluey
with
is
me.
watched by
Do
adults
not
and
speak
children
of
alike.
that which you do not know and that
I
I
do
know
know.
everything about.
You
What
don't
with the
know
spinning
everything.
earth and men landing on the moon, nobody cares no more, says the wolf. Blues? No, it's not blues. It's dumb. You don't want to know, Metal Maid.
Bluey. It's Bluey.
It's stupid. It's just dumb. He couldn't even spell it the first time. That's how popular it is. There you go. Mary
is
Scott on YouTube. Not
Can you
really.
all right, share the link, Tom?
I
Let
don't
me get
know
you
the link.
Share-
I didn't
I'll-
know about your dumb channel until 15 minutes ago.
Let me find you the link.
Well, then you can post it.
I don't think I can. I'm not a moderator in here. You have to be a moderator to. be
You
able to
can
share.
post at whatever.
All right, let me see.
Mister, I'm so good at posting the suffix for people's StreamYard links, but you can't figure out a way. Give me a break.
That's yeah. There we go. It's at Scott Green AU. That's the stream.
Oh God, that's so
There we-
perfect. That's so perfect.
Yeah,
That is so perfect.
Yeah,
I can't wait to not go to that channel.
that channel's been around. You know,
Yes, Metal Main Vicky, there is a Blues Clues.
Bluey is the one that you want to watch. Bluey is amazing. Honestly, it is one of the better shows.
Yeah,
that have
talk
come out
about
of
that
the
on
world.
your show.
I am talking about it on my show. I'm on my show right
Okay,
now.
that you're right. Don't talk about that on my show.
Your show is my show. My show
No,
is your show.
it really isn't.
This is cross
It
pollination.
really isn't.
Yeah.
All right, can I? I need to really do need to go.
All right,
got
just
a
blow
big
me a
day
kiss.
tomorrow.
Mwah. Tom. I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. Bye.
All right, thanks for calling. Oh, God, you ever try to take your pants off over your head? That's what talking with Scott is like. It's somewhat entertaining and interesting. Oh, dear God. Scott, close your mouth in all photos taken of you. I know it's difficult because you're from Australia, but even the avatar for your stream Skype is like that's just Australian that you're constantly Anyway, gosh, have we had a good time tonight. I'm telling you, Hoosiers, one of the greatest movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, you really owe it to yourself to see it. Here, let me jack up there we go. If you haven't seen it, you really do owe it to yourself to see Hoosiers. Tom posts the link. Come on. I'm not posting the link. Oh, my God. Never. Funky, if that's who I think it is, I will just keep banning that particular screen name. Subscribe for secret content, like pulling a tick off with your hands. I'm sorry, there's a bunch of your comments that I didn't get to. Sorry. We did have the one membership today. The one membership by Boat Boy. Thank you. That was the extent of the contributions to the show. Scott, of course, never contributing to the show. Not one dime. What's that tell you? People laughing at the wolf. Mary says, does anyone actually live in Indiana, though? Was that discussed tonight? Yeah, there are people actually living there. Well, Indianapolis is. Message Tom whenever you want me to have me on. Yeah. Scott sent me a connection request on Skype for I guess that would be good for the next, what is it, for 6 or 7 weeks? We no longer live there, Mary. We don't. Gilman. Yes, Gilman, thank you so much for suggesting the topic. Very, very good topic, Hoosiers. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be about. Dupa says, Tom, did you do a show on Elvis Costello? Not yet. Not yet. I need to. The thing that sucks about that is that you can't really play any of the music. It would be great if you could play little 10-second clips of the music, but you can't. So Mary Jenkins says, oh, good, the wolf. Oh, good. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be about. Maybe, I don't know. What did we do last night? Last night was, oh, yeah, the Gerald Ford assassination. Maybe it should be one of those extra paranormal, Bigfooty kind of things. I don't know. Elvis Costello would be a mini-series. Oh, for me it would. For me it would. So, anyway. Do a show about pie. Well, if you watch the show at all, you'd know we already did one. And I know you know that we already did one. And I know that's you trying to be funny, which is sad. Wolf says, who knows what tomorrow will bring? It's exactly right. It's exactly right. Well, you know, that old clock on the wall says that, like the Reverend Al Green and Columbo, that I got to get up on out of here. Well, you know, you don't have to stay here, but you can't go home or something like that. When is Spiders 2 Electric Boogaloo? Every day, all day. I'm this close. I already did a show on camel spiders. I could do a show on another spider tomorrow, like the huntsman spider. The huntsman spider is a big spider. I'm thinking tomorrow would be a good day to do a show on spiders. Some kind of spider. I could do one in honor of Scott. I could do the Sydney funnel web, one of the most deadliest spiders on the face of the planet. Okay, I don't know what spider yet. I'm going to base this on the pictures available to me between the huntsman spider, which is also in Australia, and the Sydney funnel web. And so that's what I'm going to do. Huntsman spiders are just friendly. I don't care how friendly they are. They're the size of a dinner plate. And by the way, they're not that friendly. I saw one where this giant huntsman spider was trying to claw its way through a screen door. I'll do one of those. They do have the craziest spiders. That's facts. Maybe Scott would be a good guess. Well, maybe after the phone lines are open, not before. Anyway, I think with all that being said, there's really only one thing left to say, and that is, till next time, we'll see you next time.